Yeah, and over time they probably will end up covered, but you didn't even see that when we got in. I mean, no tattooer had nothing. We were all just, you couldn't get tattooed fast enough. That's how you got accepted into the tribe, You better be getting tattooed or, you're not gonna have any friends, And there seems to be a little different out there sometimes now.
Shit's about to go down.
I'm feeling something in my spirit.
Chats and Tatts with Aaron Della Vedova.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Chats and Tatts with me, your host, Aaron Della Vedova. I've got a couple gentlemen here, old friends of mine, and they own an apparel company, but not just any apparel company. It's a tattoo flavored apparel company. And it's huge. It's probably the largest one in the world. It's distributed worldwide. They're in Canada, they're in Australia, they're in the UK, they're in Asia, Europe, all those places, and especially here in America. And they're fantastic guys. I've worked with them in the past. They're just straight up, honest, hardworking dudes who really are passionate about tattooing, really passionate about tattoo art, who treat people right. And they also happen to be a sponsor of the show. So because their story is one of coming from the ground up style success, which is my favorite style to hear about, at least just because that's kind of my story, There's other ways to become successful. You can bring in the venture capitalist money and connect to the right people. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not how these guys built their brand, built their business. It's not how I built mine. And I think it develops a certain type of character to walk that path, especially in the apparel industry, which is notoriously difficult. I don't know the exact number, but like restaurants, most of them don't make it. And I know that firsthand as a tattooer. I don't know how many people I tattooed that were like, I'm starting to, and how many t-shirt designs I did for all these folks, and they're gone. They're usually within a few months, they were just gone. And I'll admit, man, when I met these guys back in the early years, I was kind of like, we'll see. I mean, not many of these people make it, but here they are 22 years later, crushing it. So with all that being said, please welcome my guests today, Ryan Smith and Jeremy Hanna. Am I saying that right? Or
you
Hanna?
You are. Most people say Hanna for some reason, but yeah, Hanna.
Sounds too much like a Japanese restaurant, Hanna, Hanna.
That's right.
Welcome, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
I'm stoked to have you guys here. I kind of wanted to, I want to highlight a little bit. We're going to get into all this stuff, but one thing that really stuck with me, and this isn't about the money. It's going to sound like I'm about the money that happened here, but I came up there and I did Sullen TV with you guys. I was happy to do it. It was fun. I tattooed a guy on there. We did some interviews. It was cool. I don't know what it was. It was like 6 months later, a check shows up in the mail for like $4,000. I was like, and as a guy who's, like I said earlier, I've done so many favor projects for so many different people over the years. No one ever, I didn't ask. I didn't even know that was coming, actually. And again, it's not about the money, really. It was just about the integrity of it. I was like, that struck me. I was like, these dudes are fucking legit. You could have never sent me that check, and I would never have even, I didn't even know there was money involved with that deal. So I would have never called you. Yeah. But so the bottom line is you did it with no expectations, which was even double rad for me. So it was just, and I've had other experiences, and I've heard other experiences that artists I know who have worked with you guys have told me similar stories. So that's really one of my favorite parts about having you guys here. Men of integrity. Dude, that is so big and so, I want to say rare, although after all these years, I've gathered a good group where I've got a lot of integrity around me. But let's face it, we've been out there, you've been out there. The amount of times you just meet people and want to say, just do the right thing, man. Yeah. Why is it so fucking hard? Just do the right thing. And it's just, it's a little bit rare. And you guys have it in spades. And I think we'll get into why you're so successful with your brand and with Sullen. And I don't know if I mentioned that. They own Sullen Clothing. I think I went through everything else with the actual fucking word. But I think that's, in my opinion, I'll guarantee that's a huge part of why you're still sitting here running these companies today. So with all that being said, I'm going to kind of get into it with you guys. Like 22 years ago, you guys are sitting around having a conversation. You decide, let's get some, you tell me, but some tattoo guys together. Let's make some art. Let's make a tattoo apparel company. 22 years ago. And, off you go running. And I think you had said until recently, it's just been running with your faces on fire for most of that time, right. Really hustling, grinding, making relationships and connections. But maybe you could speak a little bit towards what it really takes to make it in these types of businesses, these art related businesses?
Yeah, I think like for us, one of the luxury pieces that we had was we didn't have money. We didn't come from money. So you have to learn to be scrappy. You have to learn to think outside the box. I mean, we spent years. I mean, the first marketing piece that we did back in the day, and we had people to follow, was stickers. So we bought tens of thousands of dollars worth of stickers in the early days. And we would just sweat equity, go out every night and slap stickers up. And if we stopped at a light, we would pull out, we'd get out of the car in the middle of the intersection and throw a sticker up. And we did that for years because we didn't have the money to do anything else. We could afford those stickers on the backs of the few t-shirts that we were selling. But for us, that was our first real means of like getting the word out. And it was effective because I remember early on, I was through like a drive-through somewhere, and I had a sticker on my car, and somebody's like, "Oh, what's that sticker on your car? Is that like a band or something?" And that's when I realized that those stickers were effective because people were seeing them.
Right.
And we kind of kept that mentality. I mean, even to this day, but like for years, even when we were kind of becoming more successful, we still kept that like real grassroots, grindy mentality. And a lot of that is because when you start from nothing and you have to basically grow off the back of what you sold, it really teaches you to be smart with your decisions. And, because you don't have the luxury of making mistakes. Mm-hmm. If you make one big mistake, you're done. And so, like now we still have that same mentality of being really grindy and really scrappy. Our team is really small. Our budgets are really small. I mean, what we found is that the more that you invest in the people that are already on your team, the bigger your brand will get. And so like, we don't really focus a lot of marketing people that we don't already know. We invest our time, energy, and effort into those people that have given their trust to us and become a part of the family. Yeah. So now, even to this day, we still try to have that scrappy mentality. Tomorrow, the brand could end in any day. That's always a fear of ours because that was always a fear when we started. Like it could all end tomorrow, and we would always say that if it ended tomorrow, we'd be happy because we've achieved the level of success that we never dreamed of with this brand. So, so that's, a bit like that early struggle ended up being a strength today.
Doesn't it make it so much sweeter too? Like, when you're in that struggle, I'll speak for myself, but there was many days where I wish I had the rich uncle or somebody, I was alone. Like you said, one mistake, you're done. For the first 10 years, every year was a struggle to make sure I was alive the following year. But then if you get through it, and I got through it, I think mostly. I'm still going, so are you. But boy, it sure feels a lot sweeter I wouldn't change a thing. It really to have gone through that, the character that gets built Absolutely. In that, those fires of purification they're such gifts. Yeah. You really, for me, and I think you're agreeing, right? I mean, that's beautiful, dude. Yeah, guerrilla marketing, the old-fashioned way. I suppose it's a little more sophisticated for you guys nowadays. I mean,
a little bit
of both. Still slapping stickers around town.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you guys have still working with some of the best tattooers in the world. Name a few. I mean, name some of those guys right now that you consistently worked with over the years. I know the list is, you probably don't want to leave anyone out. By the way, it's probably over 1,000 at this point.
I mean, two of our first being Nico and Carlos Torres. I think that's a pretty good start.
That's a pretty good start.
Yeah, it's almost like the right place at the right time, kind of like all the guys that started Apple and Microsoft, like we were kind of just in the right place at the right time, and made some good friends. Mm-hmm. And like for both of us, that friendship portion of it was really important, and so, treating people right and having a lot of fun together. That's kind of what led us, to kind of blossom, because the thing is that those early guys kind of said, oh yeah, these guys are legit. They did what they said they were going to do. And that word kind of spread. And I think that, us really genuinely caring about their art, because for an artist to give us their art, it means that they're trusting us with it. And so I never took that trust for granted. To this day, like I make sure that if a screen needs an extra screen or if it needs 2 or 3 to translate the art the way it needs to be done, then so be it. There was never an issue with cost. And if you really look at apparel, especially from a lot of the bigger brands, you can see that cost is important, because it's very rare that you'll find a shirt that has 10 to 14 colors on it sold at a, in mass quantity, because they're really trying to cut those costs down. Whereas for us, it's like, if you're going to give us your art, we need to make sure it looks exactly like your art, or, we're going to be disappointed in ourselves because you're disappointed. Like, we want to be able to, like, when you get it, you're like blown away at the level of detail or quality that we were able to achieve, because to us, like, that is a reward, and then it ends up translating in other ways, whether it's like working with new artists or whatever. But like, at the end of the day, we have to make sure that you're going to be pumped, and then hope that ends up manifesting itself in other ways down the road.
Yeah. I mean, your brand, Sullen, is built on the backs of a bunch of other artists, right? So there's you don't treat them right, I ain't going to go too good for very long. And I said that in the beginning. The fact you're sitting here after 20 years tells me you treated those people right, because if you hadn't, I think things would have blown up a long time ago, And I'm sure, I know you both have the level of respect to the tattoo industry, to tattoo artists, to art in general, but especially, I think, Ryan, with you as a tattoo artist, right, of 25 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of one of us, right? So, you can't... You got to be good to your own teammates, right? So, and that's kind of how it works with you guys. Like, you're like the art director of Sullen, right? Jeremy, you're the front man. You're at all those, right? You go to all those. You're out there bringing this to the world.
Yeah, more of the marketing, PR, events, as well as networking. And when I get home from work, sometimes I look at my phone, the amount of conversations I have a single day, and I giggle out loud. I'm just like, man, what a day. But at the same time, I love it. I enjoy it. Like, fortunate for us, Ryan and I still 20 plus years later, we're still super passionate about this. And I feel blessed to be passionate. I wonder, like, can you teach that? I think we're fortunate the fact that we're still passionate so many years into it. We live it, we breathe it, and I love getting tattooed. I think the fact that I'm not a tattooer, there was a part of me that wanted to get blasted,
Right.
And now I got almost like a full bodysuit. The only thing I have left is my left armpit, because it was the most excruciating experience I've ever had in my life. So I'm trying to mentally prepare myself to finally knock out my left armpit. But yeah, dude, I love what we do. And we're also fortunate to have a really big worldwide family. You know what I mean? Like, Ryan came up with the hashtag Together We Rise, and it's real. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that we came from no money, we started off with just, a party crew of just, in our early 20s, starting this off our couch, and then working with 3 artists, and then 5, and then 10. I've been saying, like, I bet we're over 700 artists now.
Wow. Yeah.
Over 700 artists from all over the world. But like your parents say, you are who you surround yourself around. So we are really selective on who we work with and who we associate with, because, if we smell an ego, we give them the Heisman. Like, we don't do well with egos, and sometimes that comes out later, or they change later. But yeah, dude, it's been good.
Yeah, I mean, that we have that in common, right? I'm in this because I'm passionate and I love it. I think all of us in this room were of the nature, as young men, kind of saying to the world, I really don't care what happens. I'm going to do something I love, and something I feel passionate about, and the chips will fall as they fall. And I think we did get very lucky in the regards to the timing of our careers. We 25 years ago, right? That's something I think we should talk about too, is you guys have been along for what I call the full ride.
Yeah.
Because, I'm 31 years ago, but, I caught the tail end of, my apprentices were gang bikers and gangsters, and we were required to carry weapons, and there was drug deals. It was gnarly. It was scary. I think I had PTSD from my first 2 apprenticeships, for real. But, and I was bitter about that for some time. And then the years went on, and then the renaissance of tattooing kicked up, in like mid 90s. It's probably happening before that, but when it really started getting noticed, and we were all in that. And here we are today, and I don't know what to call it today. I would just say tattooing to me is a fully mature, developed art form. Almost anybody toying around with it is got their shit together and is doing very responsible tattooing.
Right.
The talent behind the tattooers that are out there nowadays are real talent. They're not just guys that can kind of trace things anymore. So that whole ride from what I described to today, that's a really special ride to have been on. You know, I really wouldn't change a thing. I'm stoked. Frankie, thank you for all those evil things you did to me back in the day. Like, I got to see the underbelly of this industry and that shenanigans that went on. And I also got to see it change and a lot of those characters fade away. And this whole new group of folks we work with now that are on the scene. But let me ask you guys about that. Like, talk about that. What do you see? Describe your thoughts on tattooing from then till now.
Well,
I mean,
I was going to ask you, if you've been tattooing that long, that means you were at the bar passing out your business card, trying to convince them to come back to the shop the next day, right?
Oh, that's how.
Because we were pre MySpace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We would go to like concerts, and I'd be that guy when there's a line of 1,000 people handing a flyer, a physical flyer to every person that walked by. And believe it or not, like, I still have relationships to this day from sitting there passing out flyers, because one hustler to another hustler, someone's like, oh, hey, I do this and that. You should come, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's, but no, tattooing. I mean, Ryan comes from an old school apprenticeship.
Yeah. I mean,
Tell me about. I love apprenticeship stories. They're my favorite.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have any crazy ones. I think, you know, they made me take the trash out of the bathroom window for the first few months that I was there. And I did have some level of hazing, but it was really traditional. I mean, like, it started with, making needles for everyone, learning that process. Then I was, taught how to take a machine of parts. You weren't allowed to buy a machine that was fully assembled. You had to buy the machine that was fully unassembled. And that was kind of the first thing that they taught you, or that I was taught in my apprenticeship. And the whole time you were then also either relegated to a cleaning duty. You could watch for a certain amount of time other tattooers tattooing, and then you spent a lot of time drawing, and a lot of that time was just replicating art that you had, or that if they needed flash or whatever. So my apprenticeship was a year. I was able to start tattooing probably 8 months into that, but just to say that I was an apprentice and start to kind of prep people. And then
And sorry to
I'd
cut
say-
you off, but didn't you become a tattooer because you had friends asking you to design their tattoos?
Oh yeah,
for
I
them?
mean, I've been a huge fan of tattooing, even when I was like in junior high. So like, we used to play back in the early '90s. Like, beach volleyball was big in Arizona, so all of our friends used to go to the court, and there were so many kids that you'd spend a lot of downtime. And I would bring a Sharpie and I would draw these tattoos on my friends. At the time, tribal was really big or whatever. And so they would have these like big sleeves of tattoos. And I think I was like 16 at the time. So when everybody started aging out and, into 18, I guess, they remembered that. And so I was getting hammered by people to draw their tattoo designs. And one of the designs that I did for a friend, the guy noticed it and he's like, hey dude, this design's rad. The guy that did this, you should design tattoos. And so my buddy comes in and he goes, yeah, the guy liked your work. He's like, he told me you should design tattoos. And I was like, I want to do tattoos.
Who was that? Do I know him?
Ross Murray.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And so I immediately went down to that tattoo shop. I brought my portfolio with me. There's a guy named Johnny over at Artistic Skin Design. And I showed him my work and he's like, oh, it's great. He's like, but I don't know in the shop. He's like, the shop owner's not here. But you can always call back. I called every day for like months. And I know that I was driving him crazy. He finally called me back one day and he's like, look, the boss, his name is Jim. He's going to be here on this day at like, 4:00 on a Thursday. And so sure enough, 4:00 on that Thursday, I was there with my portfolio. He looked at it for like 2 minutes. He goes, all right, start cleaning, and it was like, okay, that's it. And then that's kind of how I started my apprenticeship. But like I wasn't really allowed to learn there. I was really just cleaning the shop. So one of the artists there was like, hey, I'm going to this other shop. I think you should come with me, if you really want to learn, tattooing. So I said, all right. So I ended up leaving with her, and that shop was Club Tattoo. And that was in the very early stages. I think the shop had only been open for maybe 3 months. And then I ended up doing like the bulk of my apprenticeship there, and then started tattooing professionally. I think I was 20. And I loved it, but like I was also in a car accident when I was 16, which gave me bad back problems. So I knew early on that like tattooing full time wasn't in the cards for me. And so while I was still tattooing full time, I was studying art, because I always wanted to still be involved in art. And then that's when I moved to Pasadena, studied art at Art Center College of Design. So I learned the commercial side of art. I learned the hustle side of art, because that school kind of makes you press go from day one. And so not only did I hone my traditional drawing and painting skills there, because that's the first 4 semesters is just literally your, illustration, figure drawing, stuff like that. Then I was able to transition that over to the digital realm. And I was able to take typography and graphic design and all those classes, because I was very interested in those things, because I've always been interested in apparel. And so, we actually got the idea to start Sullen my senior year. And we were just partying. And I always kind of talk about how I would love to do a brand. And, one of our buddies is like, yeah, well, let's do it, And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. So I ended up actually starting Sullen when we were my senior year in college. But it wasn't until like year 5 that we really kind of understood that tattooing could be a lane. We grew up idolizing these surf brands and stuff that were like, what we saw in our neighborhoods, the Billabongs, the Quicks, the Volcoms, the Hurleys, and so we didn't realize that there was even a lane for tattooing, but like the artwork always had that aesthetic. We always did the skulls, we always did the tattoo art, but like there was no tattoo brand really. And so it wasn't until we did our first tattoo convention where we were like, holy shit, this is a room full of people just like us. They wear Dickies, or they wear jeans, they wear black t-shirts, they wear hats, and they're all cool as hell. And I told Jeremy at that convention, I was like, bro, this is where we are from here on out. We either live or we die by this audience. You know what I mean? And so if we're bled dry because it's not big enough, then we gave it our best shot. But if we're able to thrive, it's because this is authentically where we need to be. Because forever, we never felt like we had a home. We felt like we were doing this brand, but people would label us as moto, or people would label us as whatever, bro. And we were like, we're not those things. We don't, we're not built around. I mean, there were elements of that lifestyle that we shared, like a lot of like the skulls and things like that we loved on t-shirts were, kind of shared between both lifestyles, but we weren't riding our motorcycles. We lived in the beach. So like we didn't really have access to ride. So, once we did that convention and saw that room full of people, we made that our singular focus moving forward from that point on. So like, that's the mantra that we have since the first tattoo convention that we ever sold product in.
Well, and this,
And that was Kat Von D's first Muse Inc.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Muse Inc.
Yeah. Did I go to Muse Inc? I think I did. I did one of those. But yeah, but in this is where I don't know, maybe it's called luck. I don't really believe in luck anymore. But the timing, right? I mean, you did pick, I think at that time, a pretty tight lane.
Right.
But no one really knew. I maybe you did. I didn't know that lane was about ready to widen tremendously, right? So you guys were plugged into this market that just is still wildly expanding to this day. Shocks me. I can't believe the tattoo is still growing. Like it has grown and still growing.
I think timing was huge.
It's opportunity meets preparation.
Yeah.
You know, that's a
Yeah.
quote, and that we've always felt that. You know, it's you know,
Even the word, tattoo art, that's right around when like Tattoo Artist Magazine, came out. Like, yeah, it was the timing and all of our friends and everyone coming up together and you guys getting together and painting and drawing and then doing the art fusion.
and that's where the whole collective thing came in. You know, because then we had a way to describe it. Sullen Art Collective, this group of artists, because we've always felt together we rise. Like that was always like once we kind of got in that lane and we realized like, hey, let's all come up together. Like we have this vehicle that you don't have. You're busy tattooing. Let us be your biggest promoter, and in turn, we can all rise together. The bigger the brand gets, the bigger you're gonna get. And so we still keep that motto to this day, to where we want people to come on board and allow us to bring them up. Because I know that for a handful of these artists that we've worked with, they were relatively unknown when they came to us, and through that like visibility, ended up becoming quite popular. And we love that for them. We love when we can find somebody that has a low follower count, because it's not about your follower count. It's about your passion. How good is your art? How unique is your art? Are you pushing those boundaries? And if you are, we want you, because that's the only way you stay relevant, is if you keep people guessing, like if the art's the same over and over, then the mystery dies. So like I've always tried to bring things that people are like, oh, wow, that's really cool and unique. I haven't seen that done before. And with tattooing, the beauty of tattooing, the nature of tattooing is it's constantly evolving. So you just have to always watch that evolution and see where things are going and try to bake that into what, the product that we're producing.
And that definitely makes you guys unique. Maybe not to any apparel brand out there, but I mean, the ones I've always dealt with, the artist was treated like a, I don't know, just like an employee. It's like, okay, we're an apparel brand. We need a drawing. Thank you. Here's $400. Beat it. There was no concern with promoting that artist or growing their name. And I remember I did a bunch of surf stuff on the East Coast for some company, and they removed, I tried to put my name, I knew they were going to print a bunch of shirts in Virginia Beach, and I was just an artist back then. I wasn't a tattooer, and they printed them all, and they took my little initials off of it. And I was like, well, I don't forget what they told me, and
we paid you.
Yeah. And I'm like, so I guess that sets you guys apart for sure. The idea of like, we can all grow together. Like our brand could be a tool to help expose you guys as artists, that collaborative, good karma, whatever you want to call it. I love that. I love that. That's cool, man. Very cool. What do you guys, man, why do people like tattoos so much? Why is tattoo so fucking special?
It's tribal.
I was going to go there. Well, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a rite of passage. I think that there's a level of fear that comes with tattooing. There's a level of pain that comes with tattooing. Also the storytelling, I think one of the best stories I could tell is like my whole life growing up, my parents were very against tattooing. The first tattoo I got, I was told that I was kicked out of the house. And so my whole life there was a stigma around it. And then my father was diagnosed with lung cancer. I was, well into my tattoo career, well into Sullen, fully sleeved. And he was just cool with it, but he still never understood it. And so when he was diagnosed with lung cancer, I ended up getting his portrait tattooed on me. And from Bob Tyrell did it. And so I go over to his house and I show him the tattoo. And I could just tell immediately, right when he saw it, he understood the power of tattooing. Here is this memorialization of me. I'll never be forgotten on you. Which then, like, my dad never cried. Like, as soon as he saw that tattoo, he burst into tears. And I was like, that just goes to show you, I mean, tattoos don't have to be that meaningful, but they can be. And I think that like forever it will always be able to have the scale of it being either innocuous and whatever, or it can be very, very meaningful. And it's just up to the individual. And I think that that's why, at least for me, why I see tattooing as something that'll never change, because there's too many elements of it that make it mysterious. And, whether it's from the curiosity of pain, or whether it's the desire for art or to speak your mind. And I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon.
No, and you're right. I think tribalism is, and in tribes you had a rite of passage. That's been the way humans have done it forever until the nuclear family comes along, and suddenly you've got these young people who are never given the opportunity to have a rite of passage, right? So what do? They go out and invent different versions of that. Tattooing, I think, is one of them for sure, and also, for me at least, it was like joining a club without the words ever being said. You knew that if you met another person who was not just tattooed, but maybe a little heavily tattooed, you knew that person was open-minded and not going to judge a book by its cover, because they were already saying to the world, I'm different, and some of you aren't going to hire me for jobs, and some of you might, avoid me at the picnic or whatever's going on. And so if you had the tattoos and they had the tattoos, without words, you knew you had a brother nearby, in a way. Not always working that way. I've met some tattooers that I wouldn't want to call brother, There's exceptions, but I think in a very general way, it was, I know for me, it was like growing up in the school system with this hypocritical Catholic family that I grew up in, and everybody is supposed to do a certain thing a certain way, and if you don't, then you're going to be judged. And getting tattooed was my way of being like, I don't want to play by these rules. I'm going to be me. And I guess if I die or if it kills me, then let's go. Right. So I think there's that baked into it. In addition to, I think, everyone is an artist. Human beings are artists. We're creators. We are creative beings. And you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who doesn't have some passion for some type of art, whether it be music, paintings, television, whatever. They have it. And they also probably have a secret desire to create some kind of art, whether it be architecture or gardening. We all have it in us. And so tattooing, I think, as a tattoo artist, it's rad because you get to collaborate with somebody. Two humans get together and intimately create art together. And I think you can find that a little bit out there in certain other art forms. Yes, architects collaborate to build a building, and yes, gardeners collaborate on how to build a garden. But I don't know, man. I think this is another level. Like when you got two people who are really coming together, they're expressing the ideas, you're illustrating the ideas, they're chiming in. It's this thing happening back and forth. And then in the end, you permanently embed it into their skin. I just will never get over that. I find it to be, for me, and I don't want to diss on all the other creatives out there, but I just think it's the greatest art form in history.
You got someone like me who might not be able to draw or tattoo like you guys do, but I'm able to express myself.
Yeah,
I give you guys the ideas. You guys tattoo me. It also is like it has a healing effect. You know what I mean? Like I found myself anytime I went through like a hard time in life, whether it was a breakup or something, I go get a tattoo afterwards, and it was like a new chapter. It's almost like your scrapbook. Chapters in your life. Or just the fact that they're freaking cool. People ask me a lot of times, "What are your favorite tattoos?" And I'm heavily tattooed, and to be honest, it's the tattoos that I can see when I look in the mirror. Some of my favorite tattoos are like my neck tattoos, my hands. If I'm wearing a long sleeve, you still see my neck and my hand tattoos. Like I joke with people, you rarely see somebody with one tattoo. If someone gets their first tattoo, it's like you're already thinking of your second. Yeah. Or what about that meme where it shows like a skinny, nerdy dude looking in the mirror, flexing his muscle, and the reflection is like this big, buff, cool looking guy, like tattoos. They're confidence boosters. They're like an accessory, like when you get a nice watch and you just love your new watch. That's how I feel like tattoos.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
It's not an easy badge to wear,
And that's the other part, like it's hard work getting tattooed.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard work getting tattooed. When I go to conventions, I've been finding myself giving all my non-tattooed friends a hard time. Like these guys got a forearm piece and a leg piece. Like, motherfucker, you need to know what pain you're putting on all these guys. You have no chest, no back tattoos. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm careful not to be judgy, but yeah, that bothers me too. You get the tattoo artist with a couple little things. I'm like, I don't know, man. You should go through it and know what you're doing to people.
I think so. Right.
Yeah. No,
and I say it in a friendly way. I just razzing them.
yeah, and over time they probably will end up covered. But you didn't even see that when we got in. I mean, no tattooer had nothing. We were all just. You couldn't get tattooed fast enough. That's how you got accepted into the tribe. You better be getting tattooed, or you're not gonna have any friends. And there seems to be a little different out there sometimes now. But you're right. And as far as that healing thing, man, I'll tell a story. So I won't use his name. He probably wouldn't mind, but I won't. But I did a bodysuit on this guy, good friend of mine, such an amazing human being. And he was a special ops soldier. He went to war, and I'm not going to speak to what happened over there, but I know that some pretty gnarly things happened over there. And I didn't learn this. I tattooed this guy for 7 years, to complete his whole. I mean, when I say bodysuit, he nipples, armpits, right up to his butthole, right up to his. Wow. I mean, we didn't do his penis and genitalia, but right down to the fingernails. Like he had to have every. He didn't do his throat, neck, face because he's got a career where he could not do that. But I'm sure he would have. He could have. Right. But he had to. It was so. And then over the years, I realized he would drop these little hints. But really, what he was going through was he would, after he got home from that situation, he would look in the mirror and he would see the guy. Mm-hmm. He would see the guy looking back at him that was there and been through those things. And as he got covered in these tattoos, he slowly but surely looked in the mirror and saw a different guy, person. A different person. And through this, of course, he's doing therapy and other things. But I realized through that process, like what a healing part of that. Not for everybody. Not every tattoo is healing the trauma of PTSD. But for him, it was. I got a girl that's coming on the show soon who is a burn victim who has been getting tattoos. Over the years to cover her burns, her scars, and her tattoo boyfriend or husband, I should say, are starting they have this tattoo trauma.com or something. And they're actually petitioning insurance companies to get tattoos covered by insurance.
That's right.
For the therapeutic aspect of tattooing. Yeah. And they've got case study after case study proving this to be true for a lot of people who get tattooed. Yeah. Even if it's just the tattoo of your dad was still alive, but getting the tattoo of a loved one who has died, that provides a certain level of therapy. It helps that person feel more at peace with this difficult situation. Right? Yeah. I mean, I like touching on that because, and it isn't that sometimes. A lot of times it says, I'm at a party. We're all going to get a donkey tattooed on our ankle. Let's go. And that's cool too. But yeah, the therapeutic value of tattooing can't be skipped.
Well, you guys know it. There's so many times I'll finish getting tattooed and I'm like, why did I talk about that? I open up and start talking about things that I would never talk to anybody about. I'm sure it's being in each other's bubble, that intimate thing, but whether you're a good listener or a good talker, sometimes I get to, you open up to your tattooer, I mean, I know you guys play therapists too, right?
That's why I started the show. I mean, that's where it all started. I'm like, man, I got to get some of these people on I've learned so much, as a tattooer. It's
a lot of dead air.
What's that?
There's a lot of dead air. You got to fill it.
You got to fill it. Yeah. And then the intimacy just comes from unconsciously, you're in pain. I'm physically touching you. There's already this person whether they're aware of it or not, trusts you because they probably wouldn't be laying there letting you tattoo them if they didn't trust you on some level. So that subconsciously they're like, oh, I'm with a trustworthy. I trust this guy. And then next thing you know, you're hearing about, the divorce they're going through or other crazy shit. And they're, the time they got arrested for such and such and never told anyone. And I'm like, wow.
As well as the other way around. Yeah. I got a lot of tattooers opening up and I'm like, that's a secret that I know you don't tell a lot of people.
I do a lot of therapy in here, with the right client. Like, they don't even, there's days I've come in to tattoo somebody and I just go all day about my problems,
Yeah.
And at the end, I'm just like,
sometimes you got to vent.
I feel better, man. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
No, the therapy of tattoos are therapy. Tattoos are tribal. They are a rite of passage. They are an expression of, I think, people saying, hey, man, let's not judge each other based on the way we look. Let's get to know one another and find out what's inside. I think every tattooer has that in them because they're faced with it every day of their life when they go out into the public. And even today, as popular as they are, I still end up in situations where I can tell that there's certain people at the party that are staying on that side of the room. They would rather not get to know me. you know? And it's like, all right, you know, I don't know why you wouldn't want to. I'm a nice guy. Come on over. You'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
But so we tend to not be those types of people. And I like that. I like that filter. You know, if you really want to stay on the other side of the room because I'm the tattoo artist at the party, then that's great. Because I guarantee if I got to know you, I probably wouldn't like you anyway.
Exactly.
We wouldn't
Right.
click anyway.
It's a
So
good filter.
why waste? Why waste time? Why do we
Yeah.
do the small talk for an hour and never call each other? Let's just you
Right.
do that. I'll do me.
Right.
Yeah, those are all beautiful aspects of tattooing, man. Feel so grateful and fortunate to be in this. I hate saying industry, art form.
Yeah.
And I know you guys feel the same way
Absolutely.
as a tattoo artist, but as the owners of Sullen Clothing, which is in its own way a huge part of this community. You know,
Yeah.
very cool. You know, wow, man. You know, like I don't know. You guys are entrepreneurs. You're business owners. You're family men. You're married for a very long time. How long have you been married, Jeremy?
I've been with her 20 years, married almost 18.
18 years, 15 years, 23 years together, 21-year anniversary coming up. I hope I got those numbers right. I got in trouble recently for that. Sorry. But anyways, we're not just new to that game of being married, being in a relationship, raising kids. You both have 2 kids. I've got 3, 2, 1 still at home. Own multiple companies myself, plus my own tattoo career, plus my painting career. I mean, you know where I'm going here, dude. I mean, I don't know. Back in the day, I don't know how many hours you put in now. Like, I'll bet you back in the day when you were grinding to really make Sullen succeed, you probably had your mini weeks, 80-hour work weeks,
Absolutely.
maybe more.
Yeah.
It's basically on all the time.
It's 24/7. I mean, it kind of still is that way. I mean, you do take time to eat dinner and you do make your time for your kids, but there's never a minute where you're not thinking about your business or doing something towards it. At least for me, anyway. Like I'm always, it's very hard for me to shut it down.
Yeah.
You know.
But on that note, you're here, you're married. I'm assuming you're both happily married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I am too. I can honestly say that. Love my wife to death. Well, very lucky to have her in my life. But how'd you do that, dude? A lot of people don't make it down. That's a separate gauntlet. Like making that company successful was its own ring of fire. You guys made it through somehow. But still sitting here married, happily married after grinding at that level. What are the trick? What can you tell some of these people out here who are struggling in their marriages because they're working 60, 70 hours a week right now?
Yeah, I've got even a bigger ring of fire because my wife works for us. So
I got that one too.
Yeah.
That's
You know, and so I think the way we make it work is I'm the boss at work and she's the boss at home. And so we both kind of have that power structure. You know, I think too over time that, you know, we've kind of tried to like allow her to kind of off ramp a little bit and focus more on the family. But like when originally, like we absolutely had to have her because she, you know, kind of took over the like the operational accounting side of the business. And so we didn't have the luxury of having anyone else do that. And so, and then over time, she just kind of became a part of the fabric of the company to where she understands more about the brand than anyone other than Jeremy and I. And so, but I think now it's to the point to where we can kind of start, you know, delegating it to other people and things like that. And trust me, there have been a lot of instances where that power dynamic becomes complicated, especially when you're married. You know, even to this day, you know what I mean? Like, cause like she could talk to me the way that no one else can, you know what I mean? She can bring a level of wit that I'd be like, you know, well, you're my wife. So, you know, but like, it's now been, I mean, she's been with us since the very beginning. So it's been 15 years she's worked with us. And you just kind of have to understand that, you know, when you're at home, you really kind of have to turn off the business side with your wife, especially if she's dedicating her time there. And then you also have to let her shine when it's time to turn it off and follow her lead. At least that's the way it works for us.
I'm going to let you go next, but I have to say right now, I have the exact same dynamic. Holly, my wife, stepped in accounting operations because I didn't have the luxury of hiring anyone to do that. And still, we do have an accountant now and a CPA, and she shuffles some of that out to these people. But she's still, every week, I bring home the payouts from the shops, and she's, why is this guy? Oh, he's in Europe on we're, you know, and those lines, you know, we still go toe to toe occasionally. It's always a timing thing with us. You know, she tends to turn on in the night, in the evening, and I tend to turn on in the morning. So she's in the morning. I'm like, let's go. What do you got for me? I've got 2 cups of coffee in me. Let's go. And she's sort of like, don't bother me right now. And then at night, I'm turning off, and she's like, I need to talk to you about. And she's got her list, and I'm just like, oh my God, like this is my 1 hour to not.
Yeah.
You know. Then boom, you should respect me more. You know the weight I'm carrying. You get to go down there and tattoo people and have fun. I'm back in the office cranking on this bullshit. You know, and we've worked it out. Well, obviously worked it out 23 years later. But I know a lot about the intimacy of working that way with your wife in a business. It's tough, man. It's been tough. Yeah. What about you? What's your secret?
I mean, I feel like you get better at it as you get older. I think I was guilty of being a workaholic more when I was younger. You know, like when you're in your late 20s, 30s.
You travel a lot too.
That's what I'm talking about. I know I traveled a ton more internationally like 10 years ago. So my kids were babies. They were young. So I feel like, well, at least they were young. They won't remember it quite so much. And you know, you learn that your inbox is always full. You know, it's like you go to work with a to-do list of 100 things and you only get through 10 of them. And it drives you crazy. You want to stay later. And I was guilty of staying. I would stay till 10, 11 o'clock, you know, like a couple of times a week. And that's not being a good husband. That's not being a good father. And then COVID came. COVID kind of snapped me out of it as well, you know, because now my kids are teenagers. I tell my wife, I'm just like, you know, these 5 or 6 years are so important. These are such important times, you know, so I'm getting my butt home more. I'm spending time with the family. I don't really have a whole lot of hobbies. You know, I'm so engulfed with my work and being an entrepreneur.
Work is your hobby.
Yeah. And dude, we got a big badass gym at our work. So it's like, I get my gym time, and then I get to travel the world with my friends, and I get to hang out with a bunch of cool, creative, you know, these are my friends. And then, you know, I love my wife to death. So it's like we're attached at the hip when I'm at home. You know, I love my kids to death. I got a great relationship with them. But yeah, when COVID came, when we were forced to stay home for a little bit, you know, it sort of like was like a reset. You know, it's like, okay. And you guys know, as entrepreneurs, we are guilty of being workaholics. But I don't need, you know, 10 businesses. I don't need to be gone all the time. I don't need the money. That's not what I want my legacy to be. You know, I mean, of course, you want to leave something behind. But I mean, secrets is just putting that phone down. And my wife will still complain and be like, but his phone's always blah, 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 blah. I'm like, baby, come on. That's today's world, you know? Like, I'll put it on silent. I'll turn it upside down. I'll ignore it, you know, while we're having dinner. But there are some calls that I got to get at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, you know, or I will get text messages in the middle of the night from my entrepreneur friends who live overseas, you know, and I get on. I'm like, dude, come on, check the time in California.
It's 4 a.m. here.
Yes, stop it. And sometimes you'll still get it. So I say it all the time. I know it's hard for a wife to be married to a tattooer or an entrepreneur. When you're passionate about what you do, you know, like you're engulfed in it. You know, I think that's
focus becomes singular.
Exactly. You know, but my work is my life, and luckily, my wife, you know, in the past during hard times, she stepped up, and she would work the booth with me. She would travel with me, you know, and she kicked ass at it. And then she started learning, you know, this tattoo world, and then she started collecting, and now she's got work all over from badass tattooers from all over the world as well. You know, she's working on getting a back piece right now from Jess Yen, from neck to bottom of her ass. You know, she had 4 hours of tabori done on her at the last Golden State, you know, sitting there, no clothes on him on a stage being a spectacle. Whoa. My parents, her parents, our family, they might not understand that. They're like, what? She's naked?
For you guys listening out there that might not know, tabori is the Japanese traditional type of tattooing where they hand poke it.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of her friends and our family, they don't get it, but they don't live this world that we live in, you know? So she's passionate about it as well. I let my daughter get her first tattoo. My son, he says he wants tattoos. We'll see. He's a little bit clean cut, but, yeah, man, I don't know if there's any secrets. I think it's different for everybody. Just put that damn phone down and get that intimate time with her, you know, listen to her.
The phone. Let's go there for a second. Yeah. How do you guys manage that shit? Like, what are your rules? How do you honestly, if I didn't do this for a living, I swear to God, I wouldn't have an Instagram account. I wouldn't have any social media account.
My wife stopped looking at Instagram. She don't like social media, and I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. I tell her, I'm like, I wish I could throw this phone in the ocean. Trust me. But you build a business for 20 plus years, and you can build a business for 20 years and lose your reputation in 5 minutes. So it's just like, we put all this work into it, like let's build, like let's not ditch it. You know what I mean?
Scary because we're forced basically. Good luck. You want to compete as an entrepreneur and not use an iPhone or a cell phone? You're fucked. Show
me somebody that's successful without.
Or not do email, mail me a letter. You're done. Like, we have no choice, right? Yeah. We have to be engaged with it. And the really crazy thing is the next engagement is going to be the chips that go in your wherever they're going to put them. This is going to happen, dude. Right. And you're going to be able to like recall information instantly without opening your phone, which I do not. Luckily, I think I'm at a part of my career where I probably won't have, but the younger entrepreneurs of today, their competitors are going to get that little chip and they're going to be at a meeting with that guy and that guy's going to be the quickest guy in the room. And suddenly they're going to be like, I need to get a chip in I need to get an implant. Like I'm not going to get the promotion. These guys are winning. So it's like this weird thing where we all have to keep up with the latest technology, whether it's good for us or not. I don't know. I do my best. When I open my phone, I always say before I get in there, like, where are you going and why? And try to stick to that plan. Mm-hmm. And it works pretty good. But then, like we were talking on the drive here, I accidentally go to look at something, which I need to look at. One of my artists did a back piece today. I want to like it and tell him he's doing a good job.
Oh, what was I doing?
And then you scroll one thing down and I'm looking at a dirt bike video. Then I'm looking at this. And then, what the fucking damn it, I'm doing it again. Yeah, that addictive quality, how it hijacks our built-in reward systems that are there from thousands of years of evolution. They got us figured out, man. Yeah. They know how to get us. And that's not even getting into, we all have kids in this room. And scares the shit out of me, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm being old fashioned, but it really does scare me to see them engaging at such a high level with such a fast pace, with information flashing before their eyes. Click, 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 boom, boom, boom.
100%.
Yeah, it scares me.
Imagine our friends that are having kids right now.
Oh my, that's even a more crazy generation. Because they're going to have the AI from birth.
Right.
Yeah.
They won't even know that won't, like, we're going to talk about AI. And that's like a new topic to us. That won't even be, that'll be robotics. I mean, they're going to be experiencing probably full-blown robot pets, robot house people, cleaners.
We're going to be experiencing.
Do you have artists sending you AI art yet? Trying to get shirts going?
That's a bridge I won't cross. You
might not know.
Well, I mean, I can tell. I mean, typically I like things that are analog. So I'm looking for people that I could tell are painting, or I could tell that they're painting digitally through experience. So I'm never going to just look at one piece, because I have run into that where I'll look at a piece of art and I'll be like, wow, that's amazing. And then I'll look at it more and I'll be like, oh, that's just a photo montage. And that's, whether it's AI or photo montages, those are two things that I don't consider to be, I feel like it's kind of taking the easy route. And like, I feel like we owe our customers more than to take the easy route. Mm-hmm. So AI is in the lane that I want to go down, and neither is photo montage. So whenever somebody sends, as beautiful as it is, if you didn't draw it or paint it, then send it to someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and that's your choice for your brand, but let's face it, plenty of brands out there don't care, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to me as a tattoo artist, because my whole career basically pivoted on my ability to draw something cooler than the next guy.
Right.
And it was a competitive, everyone was trying to figure out how to draw shit, because if you could draw it a little cooler, you'd have more clients, and that's how it worked. And now there's a whole type of tattooers that are coming up that are using Mid-Journey to create certain things, and then maybe manipulating some of those things slightly, and then boom, throwing them right on skin and going. And it's like, you know, I tell this story to some older tattooers, and they're like, yeah, but nobody's going to want those tattoos. And I'm like,
No, that's it. Yeah. I could see that working, because at the end of the day, to me, it's like, it's not so much the art. It's like, you still need to translate it, right? So the art of translation for tattooing, especially if you're doing something with Midjourney, is going to be incredibly difficult typically, to where you then like that, transfer the Rubicon from like digital to analog. I feel like then you've kind of made it purposeful. Like, I have no problem with people using Midjourney for creative concepts, or even, coming up with ideas for tattooing. It's because then they have to tattoo it, and to me, that's just as hard as coming up with a design.
it's going to end in analog evenally.
Yes.
If you're tattooing.
And that process can be incredibly difficult when you're dealing with these like nuanced values and transitions and warm and cool, because Midjourney can bring pretty much anything you want anymore. And typically it lends itself to doing things that are incredibly complicated, so good luck tattooing that. And if you can, by all means, but
you can do, I was fucking around with it. I'm playing with all this stuff, mainly just because I like to touch and feel whatever the new is, just so I know what it is, because I'm curious about it. I typed, and I was on Midjourney. I did like simple panther tattoo, and it gave me, it'll do simple.
Oh, wow.
It did 5 different, very cool traditional panthers. I mean, legit cool. I'm like, any of those, if one of my tattooers popped that on somebody, I'd be very proud of it. I'd post it on my social media. I would no issue with it, and it happened in 8 seconds.
Wow.
And there's 5 choices for the customer, But you're right. If you don't cue it the right way, it does tend to do this hyper realistic, crazy shit that I don't know how I couldn't tattoo it. But you can curate, and it's only a matter of time before they're going to get that Midjourney for tattooers.
Yeah.
Where the human form, you could probably photo the client, they land inside there. You tell it, this is going to be a sleeve. So it's that exact arm's dimensions.
Right.
There's the subject matter. I want it in a traditional tattoo format. I want it in a photorealistic format, and wham, 10 different options. Here you go, client. Would you like these? Like that's here. And look, I'm fine with it. I guess what made me as a young tattooer is kind of, I don't want to say it's going away completely, but I don't know if it's as important as it once was, maybe, And
you can't fight it. Like when it comes to anything, especially with tattooing and technology, either you adopt or you can be left behind, because at the end of the day, progress is progress. And I've seen that happen in many stages in tattooing, where people were afraid of things that came along, and those things, most of them still exist, because at the end of the day, people really don't care. People just want whatever they want, regardless of your desire to keep things a certain way.
Your personal opinion about it, especially the young clients that are coming up now. I mean, I could see a 52-year-old guy my age being like, I want you to draw this shit because he grew up with me. Yeah. But this 20-year-old's getting a tattoo. They're way more okay with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? They ain't gonna care at all. Looks dope, I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had lots of thoughts about the job markets, and I have this I have a friend. He owns a law firm. He's got, I don't even know. He's got like 30 paralegals there. He's already starting, he's teaching classes to other law firms about they're designing these AI apps that can basically do the work of a paralegal. Paralegal, one job would be this. You want to sue somebody. First thing you usually have to do is write the lawyer a letter describing what happened. And he goes, Aaron, our paralegals have to read these letters. You'll get 5, 8, 10-page letters about what happened. Literally one paragraph in the entire 8 pages matters to the lawsuit. It's just human emotion, and they're talking about shit that's irrelevant, shit that you can't enforce from a legal perspective. So that's all a paralegal does. He has to sit there, read this long document, take out the 8 things that can actually assist in the lawsuit, and they do this shit all day. He's like, they're building this app right now. It's going to do it. They're gone. He's going, I'm going to have 5 paralegals working for me in about a year. Yeah. And that's just legal, right? Law firms. And then I got a friend who runs he's the creative director at Adobe. Big time motherfucker. Hundreds of designers. Yeah, he kind of says like we're going to see about over half gone soon.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I know it can't touch everything. I don't see AI doing plumbing quite yet or building houses, but gosh, I mean, when you start going out there, that's a lot of different
Design
jobs you can come up with that are gone, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how. I feel like every time there's big innovation, new jobs and new opportunities come out of it that we don't understand yet.
Right.
So I don't think it's the collapse of the labor market, but I do wonder.
It's transformative.
Totally. I think it's the biggest thing to happen to humanity in a long time.
Yes.
Yeah, you agree?
For sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Seeing all the direction you can take it. I mean, I'm already seeing it now, especially like within the web design space and some of the digital, you know, where you can just prompt like a website. You know, I want a website where I sell guitars and I want it to be called this. And then you just hit go and then it gives you a full website with paragraphs and, you know, documentation on different kinds of guitars or whatever the subject matter that you're looking for. And you got to remember, it's like super early in this. So if you just fast forward a year, imagine how nuanced and perfected it will be because it learns so quickly.
Dude, I had to write. I have this bodysuit show coming up here in November 11th. Commitment 3 here in San Diego. You'll see it. We'll be posting about it. And we were in a tight spot, and they're like, "You need to write something about the show." And I'm actually a pretty good writer. I've been a writer my whole life, and I'm bragging a little here, but I know how to write. I'm creative. I'm good. I can do it. But I was in a pinch, and I mean, I had to go, and they were going to print flyers and write something about the show. And as a joke, I got in my chat GPT, and I basically said, "Write me an introduction to a tattoo bodysuit art show." And I'm thinking, there's no way. It's because it's such an oblique subject. If I had asked it to write something about something more common, I think it could probably do it. Dude, it wrote an impeccable description of this art show. Impeccable. Wow. I used it.
You didn't have to change much?
I don't think I even, well, it wrote too much. It wrote like 7 paragraphs,
Wow.
but the last or the second to last paragraph was it.
Yeah,
It's
you still
nailed
need
it.
Yeah, you still need to groom it, but it like what you're going to get out of it is
insane.
yeah.
Dude. And my daughter's in college, and all these professors are trying to figure out how to figure out who the fuck is writing their papers and
Right.
who isn't.
Right.
It's
Good
crazy.
luck.
It's crazy. Right on, man. Well, what else? I mean, you guys got any things coming up? Like any new, I mean, just keep doing what you're doing, or, I mean, I do know, I should mention, you guys have another brand. How long's Party, Pardy
Yeah.
Time,
Yeah.
which is another clothing brand. Everybody listening, much more, correct me if I'm wrong, fun, button-ups, florals, tattoo vibe kind of blended in there still, but a lot different than the Sullen vibe, right? And how long you had that one?
It's only been going on for like a year or so, but it's more of a pet project for me. I've always kind of been into the fun, loud party shirts, and I wanted to do something that had more storytelling in it, so the images kind of tell a story, which I felt was lacking in like the prints market.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's more that kind of can fit that bill, but I just felt like it wasn't it didn't fit Sullen, you know. So I'm like, okay, well, if it doesn't fit Sullen, but I still want to do this project, so I just I thought Party Time sounded cool, you know, just changing it to a D, and it was available for everything.com, you know, Instagram, you know, and I was like, oh, that's really cool because it's an easy one to know. And then it was kind of like a joke where it's like, oh, well, if you party, it's spelled with a D. And if you party like a normal person, it's with a T. So that was kind of the vibe of that. It's really just a fun side project. We don't put a ton of energy into it, but it was more just a fun passion project that I wanted to put together and
Cool.
every now and then release a couple new wovens, you know, just for my friends when we go to Vegas or whatnot. They want, you know, something to rock that's not, you know, dark and mysterious, you know,
Right.
stuff that's more fun and you know, humor based, you know.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Right up my alley. I mean, look at me today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am walking Party Time, so
Yeah.
keep me in mind.
We'll have to get some in the mail for you.
Right. On that note of dark and mysterious, I have a little gift for both of you today. So everybody listening, I have a t-shirt design we're doing together. I drew it up. We'll release it soon. This episode, everyone listening, today is November 8th. That's when this
That's right.
Today's November 8th. So actually, on that note, it's the 8th today. Our art show, the Commitment 3 bodysuit show, is in 3 days. This Saturday. So, but also I did that for you guys, and I was really trying to think what would be cool. I was really trying to design from a clothing perspective, and I personally think graphic. I like a graphic-y look to my t-shirts, like stuff you're wearing there,
right.
versus like real detailed photorealistic stuff on shirts. Well, I know you do a lot of that, but I'm more a fan of that graphic look. So I drew that up for you guys, and I really ended up liking the design. And then I was going off on this on my Procreate. I have been having so much fun with that fucking Procreate, dude. I can't. The brushes and the fucking all the playing with it's so fun. So I like the design. So I ended up taking that design, bringing it into Procreate, and just taking it from just this graphic t-shirt print into a fine art piece. So I made both of you one of those today. I've got one unwrapped right here. I'll kind of show everybody. Here we go. This is the, so this print, we're going to figure this out, you guys, but we're going to release this print as a limited edition print. I don't know how this is going to work. If you buy the print, you get the shirt. You buy the shirt, you get a chance to win the print. We'll come up with something cool.
Yeah.
But each of you got one of those for you for the Sullen or your houses or whatever.
Absolutely love it.
But yeah, and I mean, it's kind of fun also to bring this up because we did get deep on this whole digital art.
Yeah.
And people who know me know I've been painting by hand and tattooing. I've been analog. I'm as analog as it comes my whole life. But I did this in Procreate, and I'm kind of proud of it. I'm kind of embarrassed too.
I cannot wait to wear that, Aaron. I cannot wait to wear that on my shirt. That's going to be a killer Sullen shirt.
Well, I guess the one that you see, the other one, this isn't the shirt. This is the fine art piece I created from the design.
I'm looking at that.
But, I mean,
you put that on a shirt.
Well, but you could. I mean, you got both. You tell me. You can have either one.
Yeah.
This or both
send
or one
me, send
or the
me,
other.
yeah, send me that one too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say, man, I thought that was a Sullen shirt written all
No,
over
it
it.
is.
It is.
It
But
is,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'll leave it up to you guys. I guess I was in my mind thinking you'd want more of the graphic one, but if you think that's
No,
better
that
for
one,
your fans,
100%.
Dude.
okay.
Yeah, and honestly, the more detailed for us, it's better. Like the graphic stuff, for whatever reason, will appeal to a smaller size of our audience. But whenever there's a lot of love put into a piece, it tends to do
They
a
want
lot
the
better.
art. They want art
Yeah.
on clothing.
And they want a lot of detail and they want a lot of stuff. So the more things you can add into an image, the better it does for us.
Well, I'm glad I did it. I did it just as a fun side project, but if it becomes the t-shirt, even better.
Yeah.
So
That's for sure.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Really, really thank you for one, being the stand-up guys you are in our industry. This, I can take it, I say because you see the personalness coming out. Like I'm protective of this sacred community. I really am. It means a lot to me. It's everything I have is because of this community, and all the friends I have, all the memories is from tattoo. So, and to have you guys with your clothing, with your tattooing, with your creative direction, all the things you're doing, supporting this community the way you guys do, stepping in. I mean, I started this show in January, and oh great, another guy with a podcast. I mean, right? And called you guys up, and you were very quick to be. We got your back, dude, supporting me. So. Yeah. Thank you for that. It means a hell of a lot to me. So
yeah, feelings are mutual, man. Keep up the great work. I've been loving the podcast. You're killing it.
Oh,
stoked on it.
Thank you. I love doing it. And it was a little sticky there the first few months, just managing a new career. I didn't know it was a new career. I thought it was just going to be this thing. I come down here once a week and do it. Well, there's a whole back end. You guys have learned, editing and video and promotions, and suddenly I'm in meeting after meeting. I'm like, holy shit, I thought I was just going to kick back and talk to my friends on microphones.
Nothing is what it seems.
No. But we are getting a handle on it. And I think the fun is really coming back for me. And my tattooing's coming back. I just started taking on clients again. I had to dip out for almost a year, just to get this fucking thing going.
Yeah, you got to have that singular focus for a bit.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. But it's okay. It's all good. But thank you guys for the support you give this community, the support you've given me.
Absolutely.
Why don't you tell, I know it's going to be in the links and the notes and everything else, but tell people where they can find you guys.
Everything Sullen Clothing, Sullen Clothing Instagram. We're bringing Sullen TV back. That's going to be debuting again in a few months. And Sullen Clothing all around, sullenclothing.com.
Okay.
Instagram, Color Crimes, Uncle Jeremy.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, you guys.
Cool.
Thank you. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Ryan, Jeremy, Sullen, I'm telling you, you guys who watch the show, I know you love tattoo art. Go there. you're going to be blown away at the amount of badass art they have on their clothing. It's some really dope shit. So check it out. Get yourself a new shirt. In the meantime, thank you for all the love, the support, the comments, the likes, the shares. It's really helping. Keep them coming. I want to keep this alive, but I can't do it without your help. And for all of you that have been giving me that love, thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next one.